All right. A few things before we get started. This whole meeting is in character, so when you come up and speak and stuff, it's going to be as your characters. This is like a role play heavy event. No armor or tools, and do not hold anything because that makes it really hard for. Wait, is Frog here? No, Frog's not here. Just no armor or tools, weapons, elytras, whatever. That would help just keep the recording. I don't know. Yeah, it's in character stuff. So let's see. Sorry, I'm still trying to like open the form on my iPad here. How this works is we went through Article 1 and Article 2 last time. We're going to go through Article 3 and Article 4. So, faction leaders and security. And I'm going to read through each of the sections of the articles. So A, B, C, one at a time. We'll read through all of them at once at the beginning, and then one at a time. I'll read it, and then if you have thoughts about like, hey, we should add this, we should remove this, blah, 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 you're going to come over from here, walk into here, and take a seat here, and then we'll go from closest to the podium and then to furthest. And if you have further thoughts, like sometimes someone will, when it's your turn to speak and you come up here and sit in here, if you have like other questions and you're just sitting in the audience or over here, you feel free to like interject. Don't like interrupt someone in the middle of a sentence, but like if you have a question, we can, this is a pretty chill thing. We're just all here to discuss. Comet is just staring at a feather on the wall.
Sorry, I put that up there and I forgot to sit back down. Sorry. If the feather wanted to have a cut out, so I put feather.
Would it be canon for Comet to like not realize which way they're facing? I guess probably not. You'd know.
Well, I would know based on the echo.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Okay. We are gonna get started. Any questions before we go into character? Nope. All right, cool. Recording started. All right, welcome to the second, 2 out of 3, the second meeting about the laws of Solace. Last time we went over the fundamental rights and and factions, and this one we're going to go over Article 3 and 4, which are faction leaders and security. This has about the same amount of sections as last time, so hopefully it won't go over an hour and a half. I'll try to keep it brief. I'm going to read over all of the Article 3 and 4 sections first, just so we understand the context here, and then we'll get into one by one section at a time. All right, Article 3, faction leaders. The members of each faction shall be represented by their faction leader. Any faction member who breaks global law shall be restrained through the power of the faction. B, faction leaders shall meet in regular meetings, and special meetings may be required as needed. C, proposed changes to the global law must be accepted by a 2/3 majority to go into effect. D, if a faction leader is deemed a clear risk, a 2/3 majority may suspend the faction from participation in interfaction meetings. E, a faction leader who has been determined to be breaching global law may be contained by any faction or independent party and shall be surrendered to the Keepers of Solace judicial branch. Article 4, security. A, the leaders of each faction shall determine a common foreign security policy according to existing dangers. B, if a faction falls victim to aggression in its territory, other factions are obligated to assist the harmed faction. C, the foreign security policies shall be based on mutual political solidarity between factions. Any decision adopted must include both the actions to be taken by each faction and any necessary arrangements based on the defense needs. D, the faction leaders must review any changes in circumstances that affect the security of the factions, and necessary decisions will be made accordingly. E, factions shall refrain from any action contrary to the interests of the planet as a whole. F, neutral parties shall be able to receive protection if requested by a neutral police force. G, the Keepers of Solace shall form a guard system to respond to immediate threats within faction boundaries. Okay, we're going to start with Article 3, Section A. The members of each faction shall be represented by their faction leader. Any faction member who breaks global law shall be restrained through the power of the faction. If you have any thoughts about this, please take a seat. If not, then we can move on. All right. Sounds like that makes sense anyway. Section B. Faction leaders shall meet in regular meetings, and special meetings may be required as needed. And those meetings would be the ones that we hold in the community center every week. Any comments on this? No? All right.
Actually, on the previous one, any faction member who breaks global law shall be restrained through the power of the faction. That refers to the faction of the person who is breaking said law. Correct.
I believe so. Lux, is that correct?
Yes, that would be correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right. C. Proposed changes to the global law must be accepted by a 2/3 majority to go into effect. Any thoughts? No? Okay, this might be an easy meeting. D. If a faction leader is deemed a clear risk, a 2/3 majority may suspend the faction from participation in interfaction meetings. So an example would be Okel has been banned, but that was simply by my decision. Instead, it would be a vote. You can just come right up to the stand.
On the topic of banning the entire faction as a whole, what about the members who do not agree with their leader's actions or have messages to pass on? Would they still be still be allowed to attend faction meetings, or is that ban just?
It looks like in section D, it says if a faction leader is deemed a clear risk, then the 2/3 majority can suspend them, vote to suspend. So it's just talking about leaders, not individuals or like members. I don't believe there's any section here talking about banning or suspending an entire faction from faction.
It typically says may suspend the faction from participating. It doesn't specify the faction leader.
That's true. Lux, should we maybe adjust that, or was that intentional?
Yeah, so it was supposed to refer to the faction leader only. We can change it. We can make it more clear, or we can change it to the entire faction, depending on how everyone feels.
Yeah. Do we feel? Would it be better to just have it faction leader specific instead of entire factions? Because I know there are a lot of members that are parts of multiple. Yeah, just not if you agree. Yes. I suppose. Yeah, I think just changing it, to, just adding faction leader. There would be good. All right, it looks like Sunny went back. Who's watching Sunny, by the way? Is she just here by herself? All right.
Okay.
Okay. Section E. A faction leader who has been determined to be breaching global law may be contained by any faction or independent party and shall be surrendered to the Keepers of Solace judicial branch. If you have any thoughts about this, you can take a seat. Otherwise, okay. That is Article 3 already finished. Article 4 is about security. And Section A says, The leaders of each faction shall determine a common foreign security policy according to existing dangers. If anyone has any thoughts about this, discussion, questions. Looks like Truffle's just arriving. Okay. Section B. If a faction falls victim to aggression in its territory, other factions are obligated to assist the harmed faction. Any thoughts about this? No worries. Good to see you, Truffle. Okay. C. The foreign security policy shall be based on mutual political solidarity between factions. Any decision adopted must include both the actions to be taken by each faction and any necessary arrangements based on defense needs. I guess this goes to show that Lux's policies and or laws here are pretty watertight. It's a very good job. Continuing. D. The faction leaders must review any changes in circumstances that affect the security of the factions, and necessary decisions will be made accordingly.
Could you expand on what that exactly means? Like, give an example.
Lux, would you like to, or?
I just want to make sure it's clear.
Yes, so there's already policies in place in these factions, but for example, when Eclipse was targeting certain leaders,
Yeah.
we may need to change policies to make sure that C doesn't continue targeting other people. So it's basically, if something changes, it needs to be discussed. We don't have to stay with the same laws, even if they no longer reflect the current situation.
All right.
Got it.
So it's just stating that the faction leaders, if changes need to be made, then faction leaders should meet and discuss that.
Got it.
Okay. Moving on, Section E. Factions shall refrain from any action contrary to the interests of the planet as a whole. All right. Section F. Neutral parties shall be able to receive protection if requested by a neutral police force.
Who would be responsible for the neutral police force? Would it just be like representatives from different factions, or would it be one faction?
I assume it would be Keepers of Solace, but I know Mira, you were interested in talking about security and possibly police force. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah. Basically, this would be like people who are not interested or live in a community that does not have that is not within a faction boundary. So I know a lot of people here are within like factions that do not require you to live within the borders, like Lilac and the other areas. What you mean?
That's what I was gonna say. I mean, it can't. So you mean that it would not just be the Keepers of Solace as the police force, correct? It would be multiple community members from different factions, or would it be Keepers of Solace?
It would be. How would I say this? Lex, could you rephrase that, because I do not want to put any words into what you wrote.
Yes, so while this is mainly Mira's proposal, if it's not going to be controlled by the Keepers of Solace, it will be a fully neutral force.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I was eating out of character there. I guess my thought would be who's going to organize and maintain the neutral police force?
I feel like we should go into depth more about what the police force would be, so it's not, so there's no like room for confusion, if that makes sense.
Right. If it's not being run by any one faction, maybe it's just a volunteer thing, and the Keepers of Solace could be, the ones to set up
Like a militia.
meetings or we have comms devices, we can all communicate via that, but just like a volunteer thing to just help people who need it. I know quite a few do. Would we be okay with that? With the Keepers of Solace being not overseeing it, but just being in charge of setting up meetings for just volunteers to come together and meet. Let's do the I's and N's. If you're in agreement, type I. And if you're not in agreement, type N for no. Okay. Could we add that the Keepers of Solace will, I guess we could say like organize meetings, but will not influence the decisions of what the neutral police force does? Okay. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so the new phrasing is the neutral parties shall be able to receive protection if requested by a neutral police force. The Keepers of Solace shall organize meetings but have no control over the actions of the police force. All right, and finally, Section G. The Keepers of Solace shall form a guard system to respond to immediate threats within faction boundaries. So everyone who is in the Keepers of Solace area, the main town center, stretching up to this border here, and from the event hall all the way to the, I believe the furthest current building or structures are the oh my gosh, the marketplace. But we do have another building being built for the winter ball currently, so that would stretch it a little bit further. But everyone in the our faction boundaries would be protected by a guard system. Truffle, yes. Yes. Everyone on Keepers of Solace grounds should be protected by our faction. Like, even if you are a prisoner, or in Okel's case, in the hospital being held, we do want everyone to be protected. We don't wish harm on anyone, even our enemies. Okay. Now, since this meeting has been very brief, we could move on to the beginning of discussion of war, of Article 5, or we could save that for the third meeting, which is what it originally was planned to be. Also, I see Belios's question here. The event hall is different from the ballroom. Ballroom needs to be a bit bigger, more room, and I personally would not like to step foot in that building again. Any thoughts? Do you think we should begin discussions on Article 5, or do we want to just dismiss this meeting early?
I'd say dismiss, keep it even.
That's fair.
I say
Will
this.
we ever have a ball like a ball in Harry Potter? I want to have a ball like that.
What's
The Winter
What
Ball.
is Harry Potter?
I don't
what's
know.
Harry Potter?
I think it's a movie series. I remember.
Yeah,
I was going to watch it, but didn't end
it's a
up.
book and also a movie
A book?
series.
Is it good?
I never read the books, but I watched all the movies. They're good. I would recommend.
The next meeting will be held next week, and the Winter Ball is being held on the 9th. We just haven't gotten posters out yet, but it's going to be really fun. Everyone will get to dress up, and it'll be something to kind of celebrate this era thus far.
Will there be violence?
A movie is
Truffle, if you
a
don't
bunch
know-
of pictures moving.
Yeah, it's Do you want to watch a movie? We should have a Keepers of Solace movie night.
We could.
Love that. My whole friend group, we watched H2O and we all started screaming. I don't know why.
We
but
could
it
watch
was
Harry
great.
Potter, or since someone I haven't watched that one. You're very confused. We'll watch it. We'll have a Keepers of
Very
Solace movie
long.
night tonight. Mira, do you have a place where we could watch that? Watch it in the community center, maybe. Let's set up a screen.
We all downloaded like a
fascinating.
movie mod, a green screen mod.